All right, fantastic. Well, pleasure to meet everybody. Thank you so much. We're honored to be a part of this. This has been an incredible opportunity that's kind of transpired over the last 18 months together with Jay and Scott Agajanian. The work that you have done down here has been incredible. We're based in Orange County, so we're a little distance away, but had the wonderful opportunity to meet with John Powers and Jay Goff a while ago. And in our discussions together, it just seemed like light bulbs were clicking. And it's allowed us to come into an opportunity now that is really incredible with all the innovation and all the work that's coming down through the Myriad Innovation Center. So my name is Justin Deck. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Alliance Research Centers. We're based in Orange County, California, on the campus of Saddleback Memorial Medical Center. Essentially what we do is we are a service provider in the drug development industry. A lot of you know that big pharma, and I use these terms interchangeably, so you have big pharma or small pharma, but we call it all pharma. Biotech is the same thing, we call it a sponsor. Essentially what happens is that sponsor develops a product, it then goes into circulation for sites to be able to develop that particular product and to test it in clinical trials. So this whole thing started as a passion project for me. I have a family that's grown up through healthcare. Father's a general vascular surgeon, mother who's a nurse practitioner. Both of them went in opposite sides of the world. My father went into private practice, mother went to serve the underserved. Essentially what I did is I was kind of myopic in my setting and looking towards going into medicine. And with that being said, I was at a university setting, an academic setting, and doing clinical research. There were some very inherent drawbacks with doing clinical research through the academic settings, and it took upwards of 9 months for these projects to be approved. Seeing that writing on the wall, essentially what we ended up doing was I took the practice into a community-based practice to be able to get the hands that we're developing in clinical trials into the hands of essentially the end user, which is the physician. So the passion project that we have is we're looking at this and we're saying, you know, in 2017, we essentially said that 3% of individuals participate in clinical research. That means 97% don't, right? And we wanted to look at that and figure out why that is. So also there was some publication that came out and they said that, you know, of that 3%, or of that 97% that don't participate, 96% say that they don't have the information. 86% say that they need more education to their healthcare providers. 80% says that the knowledge about a clinical trial is so important that we just need to know and we need to have the education that exists. 75% feel that it's just as important as giving blood, and 75% or 74% would say that they would participate if they trusted someone that was coming to them about it. So essentially what we then did is we looked at that space, which is the patients and the inability to get them to participate. And then being in the clinical trials industry for the last 20 years, we looked at what is this ecosystem and what is keeping people from being able to participate even further. So in the old ecosystem, it was a sponsor. We had a lot of collaboration. We happened to be in the site level. And essentially there was a lot of collaboration, education, work that happened together. We were allowed to collaborate with our sponsors to be able to say, you know, there's an inclusion-exclusion criteria that's very difficult. How can we get a little bit more knowledge on that? It worked out great. That was the old system. That was probably around 2000. Then came the advent of the CRO industry, which many of you know. I've spoken to a lot of you. It's called a contract research organization. Essentially what they do is they become the middleman of those sponsor companies, and they essentially are responsible for aligning with all the different vendors to be able to then deploy to the individual sites so that we can make this process a little more efficient. The honest truth is that it isn't, and it actually caused a little bit more difficulty in that collaborative effort of talking with our sponsors, but then also being able to deploy our clinical research sites. Oh. So here's the ecosystem here. We have a sponsor, CRO. The unfortunate truth is with this flipped ecosystem that we have, there's a significant heavy footprint at those sites. So there's a difficulty in getting patients to be enrolled in trials. So about 70% of those individual sites will never meet their contracted amount. 50% will never actually enroll a patient. 90% will fail to meet their enrollment targets, and it costs $2.6 billion to develop a drug nowadays. Between 2003 and 2013, it was about $500 million or $500 million to develop a drug. During that period of time, from 2013 to 2018, it's actually gone up to $2.6 billion, which is an incredible increase. That is just unsustainable, because ultimately what it does is it impacts each and every one of us and our insurance companies that are covering the cost of that. So what do? We essentially have coined what's called a site in a box. We partner together with all healthcare institutions, physicians, providers, to be able to bring them all of the healthcare infrastructure, the clinical trial infrastructures that they need to be able to execute on a particular clinical trial. So it can go from a staffing partner. We employ coordinators that are very competent in what they do. We have our own standard operating procedures in the work that they do. And then we leverage the work that we do together with our community-based providers to be able to get those products in their hands sooner. We have technology partners that help us keep things more efficient. We work with training, compliance, and regulatory to essentially allow our providers to do what they do best, which is treat their patients. And ultimately what it becomes is it becomes the new standard of care, which includes clinical research. We did a little a pilot study about a year ago, which was looking at the opportunity of a sponsor with one single platform, one single drug. We took it into 3 separate sites. And with that opportunity, all 3 of those sites were the top enrollers in that particular clinical trial, and we were able to do it in less than 6 months. So what is ARC? ARC itself is called a site management organization. We're a subset or kind of underneath the clinical research organizations. We focus on the sites. We focus on where those particular products are going into the hands of the end users. We have existing partnerships with about 80 different physicians and healthcare groups. We have over 250 clinical trials in experience. We have an innovative centralized delivery model for the infrastructure services for clinical trials. And we have had the wonderful opportunity to partner together with Myriad Genomics, who you hear from here shortly, to be able to partner and bring predictive precision medicine, which ultimately I think is the direction that we're going to head. Here's the corporate structure. It's myself and my father, who's a general vascular surgeon, as I mentioned. But then also we had the wonderful opportunity to partner together with a family investor, which is Mr. James Peterson, formerly of Microsemi, and his son. So we have a father-son team that is going to work on this space and ultimately disrupt what's going on. So I want to say thank you very much for the opportunity. I apologize that I went a little over. I am a talker, but thank you again. If you have any questions, I'm happy to talk a little further. Thank you.